Are you listening?
Breakthrough Media. Truth always wins out in the end because it outlives falsehood.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Justin Wilson. Right now I want to talk about this Missouri man who comes out in an SUV, then creeps up behind this 12-year-old dancer and then sucker punches him, leaving him with a concussion. This man runs back into his SUV and then drives off. Now, because the perpetrator is black and the victim was white, the story is not going to get the same traction in the media because it's not advantageous for those who want to push this narrative that black people are extremely oppressed and white supremacy is the big issue. But I'm going to talk about this because it tells us something about the mindset in the black community, especially after the George Floyd incident. So I'm going to show the video, and then after the video, I'm going to talk about information around this man, and then also I'm going to talk about the kind of responses I expect from liberals and black people in general. So let's watch this clip real quick.
Unless I'm drunk or I'm high, but I'm both right now. Got me talking about my life. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk or I'm high, but I'm both right now. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk or I'm high, but I'm both now. Got me talking about my life. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk or I'm high, but I'm both right now.
Now, I can imagine for many of you guys, your blood is boiling after watching this grown man come up from behind to knock this kid out. They need to be shamed for what they're doing, because this is why these things happen in our streets, and like, people get away with it. You know, the violence, the death toll, the crime, it's continuing because these people are protected and they're encouraged. So, yeah, but you know, I want to transition also into talking about what kind of responses I normally get from the black community, or at least liberals in general, and then, you know, black liberals, of course, when I bring up these senseless acts of violence from black people. And it's so predictable that I can actually list all the things that they would say. So I'm going to give you 12 responses that black liberals will say to this senseless act of violence from black people. So in regards to black on white crime, this is what they would say. Black on black crime, this is what they would say. Number one, they would suggest that white people do it too, even though they can't produce any video of white people doing this in 60 years, unless it's a police brutality video. But nevertheless, for the most part, it's very rare to find white people doing something just like this incident, but it's common to find, you know, black people attacking white people just so blatantly. Number two, they would blame 400 years of slavery, police brutality, and white supremacy for why this grown black man would do such a thing. Apparently, white people were a stronger influence to this black man than his actual parents. Often they place all the blame on white people as though they are the actual parents of black people. And black parents aren't really the guiding principle to them. It's really whatever the white man does, that is what controls the black man. Number three, they would say, I am always defending white people, as though by default, the right thing to do is to be quiet because the criminal is black. So the no snitching code is assumed on me. To them, blacks can't afford to disown or expose black criminals who destroy our community and race relations. Number four, they would compare this incident with white people saying the N-word, as though physical assault is the same as verbal assault. Number five, they would blame poverty for why this black man did this as he jumps into a nice SUV. Number six, they would say this doesn't happen often, as though world star hip hop doesn't exist. Number seven, they would suggest this white kid deserves this because he is white, and white people should feel the pain of being bullied and oppressed because his white forefathers did this to black people. Number eight, they would suggest that I am making black people look bad, as though the one exposing the crime culture is the problem, but not the criminals. In their minds, the thousands of music videos glorifying thug culture doesn't make black people look like bad thugs. But me pointing out the thug culture and the criminality is what makes them look bad. Number 9, they will suggest that I should stop criticizing my own people, but aim at criticizing white people and cops like they do. It's as if they think it would be any better if a white person should criticize black people, or better yet, no one should criticize black people. Number 10, they will normally get personal by pathologizing me. They will suggest that I hate myself because I won't do the loving things such as avoid talking about the thug culture in the black community or black on white crime. They think that to prove that I love the black community is to not talk about the issues. Number 11, they'll have issue with white people openly agreeing with me, as though a white human and a black human cannot be on the same page or agree to see the same thing. If there was a square right in the middle of the room, a black person will see a circle and a white person has to see a triangle. We cannot see the same thing like a square. So it's as though they feel that we should not be able to agree with each other because we're different skin color. It's like we're two different species. Like our eyes and our brains work differently. But that's not true. We're human. Just me having a different skin color should not dictate how I see the world. Number 12, they will keep on saying coon, Uncle Tom, and all kinds of racial slurs because apparently those words were powerful enough to, influence them. So they think it's going to have some kind of power over me. Now, these are the 12 kind of responses I get from, black liberals because they don't want to deal with black on white crime or black on black crime. They want to focus on white supremacy, cops, and pretty much just, this systemic race issue in their minds. But really, a big issue is in the black community. A big fat issue. Not the only issue in the world, but it's a big issue. And the black community, we can actually fix it. It's not like extremely hard. We can change the problems that we have by like 90% if we deal with the crime culture in our community. If we actually deal with the fatherlessness in our community. If we deal with, our acceptance of, the LGBT, agenda. If we deal with all these things, we can get rid of, I would say, the majority of our problems, whether it's racial, economic, or family issues. We can deal with it.
There is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy, and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. And I would add, and the ability to create new ones, as we have seen in recent years.
Breakthrough Media.
Connor Devlin is never going to give up anything. He's only going to enjoy it when your boss finally snaps.
Funny thing about the blacks.
Excuse me?
All your huffing and puffing really gets you nowhere, does it?
What are you talking about?
You run around the street with your bandanas and your lowriders and you flash your, what do you call it? Your cheddar and your guns. And all you end up doing with them is killing each other. Know what you are?
What?
Predictable. If I wanted to kill a black behind bars, know who I'd get to do it? Another black.
Boom.
Yeah,
I also think that we actually do have an ideological frame. We are trained Marxists.
This could be a police cruiser, Tom, that you mentioned that is burning right now.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
Flames rip through the lower level of St. John's Church.
And as you can see, there's definitely a fire here.
Make sure that police departments are defunded.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
The driver hit 2 officers.
We have an incredible opportunity to fundamentally transform the country.
The first statue that we came across was Ulysses Grant. It was toppled. It was lying in the pathway.
Look what you did to my store. No! These people are tearing up our livelihood.
We are trained Marxists.
If you don't support Black Lives Matter, I'll break your kneecaps.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. And please.
There's the First Amendment. You just gotta look it up, Mr. Kummel.